Okay, it's 6:33 and I'd like to get the presentation started if I could. Hello, my name is Johnny Carrier. I'd like to welcome you to the Farmington High School Building Committee Community Presentation. I'm a resident of Farmington and a member of the FHS Building Committee. Wendy Koo, who is also a building committee member, would join me in moderating tonight's presentation. I'd like to start by telling you why I'm in support of this high school project. I've had the privilege of serving on this committee and the previous over the last 4 years. Each time we have overwhelmingly supported a new school option. As we will explain during this presentation, the current facility is no longer to be patched up, added to, or remodeled to serve our community's needs. This high school project is the most fiscally responsible way for Farmington to move forward. Wendy, if you want to jump in.
Sure. Thank you, Johnny. So, hi, my name is Wendy Koo, as Johnny introduced me. I am a lifetime resident of Farmington. So I grew up here in town. I attended, here's the list, West District, Noah Wallace School, IAR, and Farmington High School. There was some redistricting, so that's why I ended up at West District and Noah Wallace School. I missed Westwood's Upper Elementary School because it wasn't built yet, but my two children went through, and it's a beautiful building, an amazing school. Reflecting on my childhood and upbringing in Farmington, I can honestly say I had a great educational experience. I love this town so much that after completing my doctorate degree in education in Ohio, I moved back with my husband to raise our family. So I dragged him back here. This is a good husband. So we have two children who are currently in 7th and 5th grade, Matthew and Julia McKitty. So I did keep my maiden name. I'm an FHS alumni, Farmington resident, a proud mom, and I'm also an educator, specifically a teacher and a department supervisor at a local school district in the Farmington Valley area. So I want to emphasize that this is a different plan from the last referendum. And since this is a new building, there'll be no renovation distractions for the school. Now, this is important for me because I went through the building renovation at FHS as a student and recently as an educator in my own school district. And from my experiences, the renovations were distracting. So we have this opportunity to build a new building with minimal distraction to our education system. We need to take advantage of this and vote yes now. I can't emphasize how much time, resources, and commitment were placed into this process and planning. Every option details were reviewed and discussed, and this committee did not miss a beat in this process. And you'll hear more details throughout the night. It's impressive the passion, the commitment everyone on this team has placed into this project to improve our schools and community. I feel so lucky and blessed to be part of this team and process. This new building will enhance our children's education by improving their learning environment. And as an educator, I can really envision the incredible opportunities this building will bring and offer to our students, educational program, and the community. So from my own teaching experience, the learning environment always matters. Obviously, everyone went through a lot this past year with the pandemic, especially in education. It's been really hard for the students and the teachers, and we all want to move forward in a positive direction with hope that we can grow strong from all of this. So now is the time to support our school systems, and I hope we can together as a community. So we would like to take the opportunity to hear from our town leaders on the importance of this new high school project. Tonight, we are joined by CJ Thomas, our town council chair, and Beth Kittner, the Board of Education member. So Thomas, CJ, sorry, if your mic is off of mute.
Thank you. Thank you for that reminder. I need that. Wendy, thank you, and thank Johnny, and frankly, thank the entire building committee, because the two of you have just given a little discussion on how much you care about this town and the school, and the numerous hours you have spent and the building committee before has spent, the Board of Education, the town council also. So thank you for everyone, not just you participating and listening to this meeting, but particularly to the building committee for all the great work that you've put in. As far as the town council, and on behalf of the town council, all of the financial projections for this project were based on assumptions. The fully funding capital needs going forward, grand list growth, and our historic 3% tax increases. The town council since January of 2020, this particular group, and before that many others, has kept these assumptions in mind throughout the decision-making process. That's why we set this year a budget of below 3%. There was no question as to the needs of this high school. And last January, when the building committee recommended a new option, the town council was unanimously enthusiastic in our support of it. The timing for bonding this project is incredibly advantageous. We've had a lot of debt that's come off the rolls, and the impact on our taxpayers is at one of the best levels it could possibly be for this type of project. The failings of the current Farmington High School building are not going to go away unless they're addressed. It's your town council's opinion that a new building is the right decision, and now is the right time. So I hope you can all get out and support this project.
I think I'm next on the agenda, so I'll just jump in here. My name is Beth Kittner, and I'm a member of the Farmington Board of Education. We want to let everyone know as they come on to learn more about this project that as a Board of Education, we are united in support of this proposed new high school. The new high school addresses the needs of the current high school facility while supporting educational programming both now and in the future. So now's the time to address the current facility in a comprehensive manner. So we're thrilled to share the details of the new high school facility with our community and join together. And we're very happy to have you here tonight. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Beth. I actually did introduce you, but I was on mute, so I failed on that one. I'm not on mute right now, right? You guys can hear me? All right. So thank you, Beth. So tonight we're happy to have a teacher who also lives in town with us tonight. I'd like to introduce you to Celia Brown, a teacher at Westwoods Upper Elementary School, who's going to give a statement on the FHS building project.
Thank you, Wendy. Good evening. My name is Celia Brown, and I'm a reading teacher at Westwoods Upper Elementary School. I'm also one of your neighbors, and I've had my children go through our school system. I'm proud to live and work in Farmington, and the high school building project is extremely important to me, as well as my colleagues. Farmington students have traditionally led way beyond their K-12 education as successful and contributing citizens. However, expectations have changed when it comes to knowledge, skills, and dispositions required to compete on a global level for college admissions and in the work environment. A new high school would advance 21st century teaching and learning aligned to the Farmington vision of the global citizen, given the design of the proposed high school. The vision is directly aligned to what companies cite as the knowledge, skills, and dispositions they're seeking in employees now and into the future. Please join me in supporting this important project that will benefit Farmington students as well as our community as a destination for not only an exemplary education for Farmington's children now and in the future, but also as a gathering place in our community for events and enrichment. A new high school will enhance the experience of all residents living in our wonderful town. And as Ben Franklin said, an investment in education always pays the highest returns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Celia. The goal of our presentation is to provide information on the FHS building project and answer specific questions related to this proposed project. We encourage all participants to use this Q&A feature to submit questions during this presentation. There will be a dedicated Q&A section at the end of the presentation. Comments or questions can be sent to the building committee anytime by using the comment form on the website, www.fhsbuildingproject.org. Public comment is also welcome at the building committee meetings held every other Wednesday. The next building committee meeting is May 5th at 6:30 p.m.
So before we go into discussing the details of the proposed new high school, I think it's important that we briefly review the process that the FHS Building Committee went through to get to this point. Now, the FHS Building Committee was established by the Farmington Town Council in March of 2019. The committee includes community members, elected officials, town staff, and school administrators. The FHS Building Committee's work was divided into two phases. Phase one, conceptual options phase. And this is where the FHS Building Committee was to evaluate the conceptual design options from multiple architects to provide the town council with the information that they needed to set the net municipal project cost range and overall project scope. This phase is completed. The FHS Building Committee engaged in 2 architectural firms to complete 3 conceptual designs, each which included an option for maintaining the current facility, doing major renovations on the current facility, or building a new school. After 9 months, 9 months of a competitive process, the Building Committee recommended TSKP Studios option for construction of a new high school as the best solution to address the Board of Education's statement of needs. On February 4th, 2020, the Town Council unanimously voted to select the new building solution and set the net municipal project costs at the range of 105 to 110 million. Phase 2 is the preliminary plan phase. Here, the FHS Buildings Committee's work centered around designing a comprehensive solution to address the Board of Education's statement of needs that falls within the net municipal project cost range and overall project scope set by the Town Council. Now, while the committee was on a brief pause due to the economic conditions and uncertainties from COVID-19, we continued our monthly meetings to finalize our schematic work, work collaboratively with the Town Council and the Board of Education, and we continue to stay connected with the Farmington community. The FHS Building Committee is currently executing the community education and communication aspect of Phase 2, which includes summary and topic-specific presentations, such as this one tonight, newsletters, which have been mailed out to our residents, and an updated website information. Over the past 2 years, this committee has contributed countless hours to delivering the best solution to address the Boards of Education statement of needs. The new high school will provide a flexible and engaging learning environment for our students and the community. So Johnny, did you want to go over why a new high school building?
I would like to unmute while I'm reading
Oh.
and putting in my thoughts, yes. Next, we will discuss why the building committee recommended a new school as the best solution for the Board of Education's statement of needs. The current facility has reached its limits for providing 21st century programming and learning spaces that prepares today's leaders to be a part of global solutions. It would be costly to renovate the current high school for today's flexible and adaptable teaching methods. It would involve major and costly renovations to bring the current high school up to safety and security standards. And lastly, the enrollment at FHS is projected to increase by 10% over the next 9 years. A comprehensive statement of needs was created by the Board of Education and approved by the Town Council in February of 2019. The statement of needs is the basis for recommending building a new high school. The main issues are accreditation and accessibility. The New England Association of Schools and Colleges has placed FHS on a warning status for serious facility deficiencies, including ADA access, heating and ventilation problems, leaky roof, inadequate science, cafeteria, auditorium, and library and media facilities. Also, other facility issues that limit educational opportunities for the students. Next is security compliance. FHS has already experienced 7 additions and renovations before heightened security expectations were even a consideration. There's a sprawling layout at FHS. FHS is large, inefficient, mostly one floor facility with too many long and narrow hallways. Also, there's educational programming. FHS is nearing its capacity to provide 21st century programming and learning spaces that prepare students for the future. Lastly, energy efficiency. FHS is not energy efficient. It is definitely not cost effective.
And so over the past 70 years, FHS has received numerous additions, which has resulted in what you can see in this diagram, a sprawling layout. So this contributes to narrow and crowded hallways, as Johnny had just mentioned, 23 separate entrances, and the lack of parking on the site. And when it comes to learning environments, there is not enough classroom space. So now I'd like to introduce you to Kathy Geeter, the superintendent for Farmington Public Schools.
Thank you, Wendy. Farmington's vision of the global citizen leads the way we think about curriculum, programming, and instruction now and now the design of a new high school. If students are to become self-aware, resourceful learners who can think critically, problem solve, and work effectively with diverse groups of people and ultimately make contributions to a better world, then they can't just be passively sitting in cube-like classrooms, listening to teacher lectures, copying notes off the board so that they can pass a quiz on Friday. Our high school students in the second decade of the 21st century are engaged in more active, collaborative, and self-directed kind of learning. They work on projects where they are expected to apply knowledge to complex problems. This looks like classroom spaces organized for small groups, circle up debates, demonstrations, partner work, etc. And it changes day to day and period by period. Flexible space is critical. A new building design would allow students to spill out into common spaces in classroom collaborative areas and meet with students in companion classes. We would like to do more interdisciplinary projects, and a more collaborative concept would allow for that. We need space for students to post their work on the walls or on display tables for critique and feedback. With critique and feedback as essential components of our learning model, students circulate and view each other's work in progress as models for their own learning. They comment on and provide suggestions for improvement, much like working professionals do. Today's students are more involved in hands-on making and doing. Students are creating and producing, again, more active than passive, and doing the real work of scientists, musicians, artists, engineers, builders, and designers. A new high school would give us a state-of-the-art space for this kind of learning. High school students learn best when they have a blend of independent and interdependent time for thinking, writing, reflection, reading, and research. They need quiet spaces to focus on their own work and collaborative spaces to meet with peers and talk about their work. We know that students are more motivated when they can make contributions between what they're learning in school, connections between what they're learning in school and something they care about in the world. We want a building to be alive with representations of what students care about and how they are making an impact. We need space to exhibit and present work, to engage with virtual and in-person experts, and to gather as small communities with a common goal or purpose. Space can encourage and promote student voice and engagement. And of course, above all, the environment of learning at FHS must be inclusive and respectful of all individuals. It must welcome everyone, allow access for all, and express a feeling of community and care, a place where everyone can grow and discover their personal talents and interests. Physical barriers, crowded hallways, undersized spaces, and outdated heating and cooling systems impact students' feelings of physical and emotional safety and comfort. So once again, we need a building that will reflect and allow for the kinds of learning that prepares our students to become global citizens who are thinkers, collaborators, contributors, empowered learners, and self-aware individuals. All of these kinds of spaces truly make a difference in the day-to-day learning environment of FHS. Right now, we do the very best we can with boxy classrooms, long empty hallways, a tiny library, undersized auditorium with broken seats, and nowhere else to go for smaller presentations and performances. But we imagine the joy and energy of students and teachers together, as well as our community, in a space designed for limitless potential.
Thank you, Kathy. The next slide is why build this on the current site? A site evaluation subcommittee was responsible for researching possible alternative site options for FHS and to identify the document site constraints and benefits. After a full review of analysis of potential alternate sites of Farmington, it was determined that the current municipal site was the only viable option. A copy of the detailed analysis is accessible on the building committee's website. Next is proposed site design. So the proposed site design for the new 3-story, 239,000 square foot high school conserves resources, it improves safety and security, it improves traffic flow and vehicular circulation on the site, as well as improving traffic on Monteith Drive, provides additional parking, and because of the location of the new building, there will be no disruption to teaching and learning during the construction. There are 2 portions of the existing building that are not included in the demolition work. This is the 1928 building that everybody sees, and the 900 wing, which was constructed in 2003. Wendy will now review those 2 sections of the building in more detail.
Thank you, Johnny. Yes, the 1928 building. So the FHS building FHS building committee was directed by the town council not to include the 1928 building as part of the cost or the scope of the new high school project. I know this was a controversial, important topic. So CJ Thomas, our town council chair, is going to provide more information on this town council decision.
Sure, Wendy. The 1928 building got to be a bit of a confusion. Originally, it was listed as being demolished. Well, there was no decision to demolish a building unless and until the town votes to build a new building. That building is an integral part of the current school facility, so clearly that can go nowhere while the students are there and learning on that facility. If this referendum passes in early June, at that point, the town council will put together a team to review what the potential uses of the 1928 building are and have full discussion with the public and decide what that would be in the future. But at this point, there is no decision to be made because that is part of the educational system as it stands.
Thank you, CJ. The FHS project includes the renovation of the 900 wing. So you can see that here in the presentation, which will provide offices for the Farmington Public Schools Central Office, as well as lockers for the boys and the girls team. The relocation of central office to the renovation 900 ring will address spaces need at the current town hall, which is in the statement of needs. Alicia Bowman, Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations, and Kat Krajewski, Assistant Town Manager, will provide more detail about the use of the 900 ring and the space needs at the town hall. Alicia?
Thank you, Wendy. It's important to note that the 900 wing is the newest section of the current FHS facility. Thus, it is ideal to maintain this section of the high school within the scope of the proposed project. First and foremost, the 900 wing is needed for our field house locker rooms. The field house locker rooms are critical for our athletic program and are currently located in the 900 wing in our proposed new FHS facility. These are expanded locker rooms because we do not have the correct number of locker rooms in our current facility, which is in conflict with federal requirements. Second, the use of the 900 wing to house our district-wide technology department will expand instructional space at the new FHS facility for our students, because that department is currently taking up square footage, 2 classrooms within FHS. Our district-wide technology department supports technology infrastructure and operations in all 7 schools and for our town hall. We do not have adequate space at town hall to house our technology department, so this department is currently off-site in the FHS facility. By freeing up this space, we will capture more instructional space for students in the proposed new facility. Lastly, and most importantly, Farmington has one of the smallest staff levels for central office in the entire state of Connecticut. We rank 155 out of 166 towns in general administration, with 1 spending the most and 166 spending the least. Only 11 other school districts in Connecticut spend less than Farmington on central office administration, yet we experience favorable and impressive achievement outcomes. Due to the efficient staffing levels within central office, the 900 wing will house the following central office departments in a reasonable level of square footage: technology, special services, finance and operations, human resources, facilities, and curriculum and instruction. The town hall is overcrowded, and there's not adequate space for our current central office and town-related staffing. The pandemic brought to light other issues within central office, including a lack of social distancing due to overcrowding within our limited office space. We will need to move out of our central office location no matter what, due to overcrowding between the school district departments and the town of Farmington departments, which will require funding. The use of the 900 wing is the most cost-effective approach to fully maximize space within that 900 wing. This will avoid a costly purchase of a space for central office within Farmington or costly lease options. And I would like to pass it over to Kat.
Thank you, Alicia. In addition to central office and special services, Town Hall is home to many town offices, but we can't accommodate all departments here, so some are located in satellite offices. Town Hall is also home to a regional probate court that has its own significant space needs. There is also a lack of storage space, as well as a lack of meeting spaces or conference rooms for all of the offices in Town Hall. Ultimately, something needs to be done to address the overcrowding, and the use of the 900 wing meets the statement of needs in the most cost-effective manner.
Thanks, Kat. As we move on, I want to first apologize if there's yelling in the background. As any parent knows, it's starting to become witching hour. My 5 kids and nowhere to hide are starting to catch up with me. So I want to say that I'd like to highlight on this slide how the circulation will occur on the site. The site will provide expanded on-site parking for visitors and staff throughout the campus. There will be dedicated areas for parking and bus access on the south side of the new school, near the main entrance. Buses will have their own loop, and a dedicated parent drop-off lane will parallel the school's main entry walks. Site parking is designed to provide the majority of student parking near the main entrance and staff parking to the north of the new building along the service access. The traffic pattern for service vehicles is to go directly to the back of the building, which is buffered by the back of the gymnasium and the classroom wing. Monteith Drive, the existing access drive, will also be widened to provide 2 full lanes in each direction.
So community use. Farmington High School is more than just a school building. It's a public asset. So the new high school will have a separate public entrance for use after hours to spaces such as the cafeteria, the auditorium, and the gymnasium. The picture at the bottom of the slide that you see here illustrates this entrance. And it's located on the loud side of the building, which faces the football field and the renovated 900 wing. And if you see in this upper picture, it illustrates the opposite side of the building. So this will be the quiet side, and that faces the neighbors. This side of the building contains the academic classrooms, which it will not have a public entrance. Now this side also has a paved walkway that is gated at each end, so preventing cars from going through. And this side also has a paved walkway that is gated. I'm sorry, let me lost my thought for 1 second. Sorry. Okay, so if I go back, and the quiet side here has the paved walkways on each side, preventing cars from going through, with the exception of emergency. The plan is to have only 2 low level lighting for the walkway and the emergency path, and some light near the egress door of the school. This is all deliberate to attempt to minimize the amount of light that is going on this side of the building. So designing with COVID in mind, the design for the new high school includes safeguards against future pandemics. So while maintaining the proper social distancing, wearing our face coverings are probably most effective in reducing the risk of exposure to the virus, there are certain features in the building designs that can also help. A new FHS building will have larger classrooms. It'll have the larger corridors, easily cleanable surfaces, and touchless plumbing features. It will have new ventilation systems, a higher level of air filtration, and the ability to automatically flush out air out of the building on a regular basis. Also, the ventilation system will have separate zones that will make it easier to separate different cohorts of students and staff, and to isolate zones in order to prevent any cross-contamination.
Thank you, Wendy. Now that we reviewed the site plan and the external design, we will show a video which demonstrates how the building interior may look.
Thank you for joining me. My name is Megan Guerrera, and I'm the chairperson of the Farmington High School Building Committee. In our time together, we will review both the current and new Farmington High School. Please take note of the significant space, safety, and learning limitations of the current Farmington High School as compared to the many opportunities for engaged, inclusive, and safe learning provided by the new Farmington High School. Much of the high school was built when the enrollment was 800 students. Farmington High School now enrolls approximately 1,300 students. 10 additions have been added over the years to try to address the growing student population, but there are many spaces that cannot accommodate today's teaching methods. The proposed building provides flexible spaces that can accommodate a variety of teaching methods and a variety of instruction, including individual, small group, and large group instruction. The building also creates communities of learners by clustering classrooms around breakout areas, faculty offices, and support spaces. The new facility is planned for future student population growth over the next decade. There are 23 separate entry points. Sightline issues, challenges in separating the high school boundary to public access points, inadequate lighting inside and outside of the building creates a challenging building orientation. The current parking lot configuration does not provide nearly enough parking. Clear walking pathways present safety concerns and do not meet current standards for school safety. The entrance will be obvious to visitors arriving at the new FHS. The single main entrance is centrally located at the convergence of car, bus, and pedestrian approaches. A wide pedestrian-safe walkway leads directly to the front door. The school office is located immediately adjacent to the front door with a clear view of visitors approaching the buildings. During a 4-minute passing period, sometimes close to 1,000 students move through our hallway intersections. This creates crowded movement and not much time for students to get to their classes. The new FHS provides generous circulation paths filled with natural light from above. Major assembly spaces such as the library, cafeteria, and auditorium could be located along a central corridor, which is large enough to serve as breakout areas or as a lobby for those assembly spaces. The overcrowding we face at Farmington High School is experienced daily in our basic classrooms. They are occupied every period of the day, making it difficult to hold planning meetings, meet with small groups of students, or host special programs. The classrooms have ongoing problems, including a range of temperature fluctuations as a result of no air conditioning, ongoing leaks, and aging equipment. The remote second floor of the original 1928 building currently houses the art and world language departments. These classrooms are small, cramped, hot in the warm weather months, and cold in the winter. There is very little storage. In process, a completed student artwork clutters the classrooms and hallways. These spaces are only handicap accessible via the outdated and many times non-operating elevator. There are a number of students taking business classes who intend to pursue business programs in their post-secondary education. Unfortunately, there is only one business classroom. Due to this limitation, we cannot keep up with the increasing enrollment and interest in advanced technology and business studies. Technology is at the center of 21st century teaching and learning, yet our entire data center is in a former classroom. The space is too small for the equipment and for staff to support all of our technology needs. Loud and distracting dehumidifiers are present in most of our math classrooms because of a moisture problem in this part of the building. This creates a challenging learning environment for teachers and students. The new FHS provides natural light in classrooms and other learning spaces. This photograph shows how light shelves along the windows can direct daylight upward and across the ceiling, making the classrooms very bright. The school includes movable furniture and technology for multiple learning formats, offering individual and small group configurations and greater flexibility in the scheduling of classrooms for different departments. Teacher workstations could be located elsewhere in shared collaborative spaces. The lack of space we face at the high school is evident in the amphitheater. It was originally designed for special events and meetings, but must now be used every period of the day for classes and study halls. The new FHS provides large instructional spaces that are fully accessible and that offer excellent visibility of instructional walls, adjustable lighting, proper acoustical treatment, and new audiovisual equipment. Newer technology can be incorporated within the spaces to support distance learning and collaborative instruction from multiple remote locations. Our current music room is an example of the challenges that growing enrollment can place on a program. This space is too small for the number of students who attend music classes. Students often have to practice in hallways and stairwells. There is also insufficient storage for instruments and other equipment. Most importantly, it is not ADA compliant or accessible for our disabled students. The new FHS provides rooms that can support large and small group assemblies for music practice, with the appropriate acoustic separation from adjacent spaces and with acoustical treatment within the rooms. The music room in the photograph is designed with a flat floor in order to maximize flexibility, and the movable tiered seating can be reconfigured as needs change. The room has windows for natural lighting and sound absorptive and reflective wall panels to optimize acoustics. Due to a lack of teaching space, the science labs must also function as classrooms and workspaces. There is insufficient storage for scientific chemicals and equipment, which can create a safety issue for our students and teachers. We are very careful when working with them, but are still limited due to the dated space. The new FHS provides bench-centered learning stations with good sight lines to the demonstration table. The photograph shows a high school science lab with operable windows to enhance the work environment. Ample daylighting reduces the need for artificial lighting, thereby saving energy. Durable finishes such as seamless flooring simplifies maintenance. In applied arts classes, students work with power tools and all kinds of objects. The classroom is too small to expand on project opportunities, as these types of projects require sufficient space to ensure student safety. The new FHS provides clean, safe, and organized workspaces with adequate storage facilities for materials and tools. Shop infrastructure should include acoustic separation of spaces, sensible distribution of utilities, and ample ventilation with dust filtration. For safety reasons, power equipment should be spaced appropriately and have proper safety features with emergency disconnects. There is no access to the second-level library for disabled students. The current library is not compliant with ADA standards. There is just not enough space for growth and student use. The new FHS provides a very visible, centrally located library with space for a variety of activities, such as individual study, small group discussion, and project work. Movable furniture can offer opportunities for rearranging spaces to accommodate evening meetings and presentations. The auditorium at Farmington High School, like many of our larger spaces, is inadequate to serve the needs of our community. A high school auditorium should accommodate at least half of the student population. Ours currently holds less than 1/3. Additionally, the space is not ADA compliant. This arrangement is problematic for large crowds, as entering and exiting the rows is difficult and distracting. Finally, poor acoustics and insufficient lighting for student productions hinders the capabilities for educational and community programming. A properly functioning high school auditorium provides a fully accessible space that serves the needs of the entire community as well as the students. It should act as a general place of assembly for everyone, as well as a learning environment for students, particularly those active in dramatic and musical events as performers, or as technicians in activities such as set building, staging, and media controlling. For that reason, features such as catwalks for stage lighting are designed with student safety in mind. Our cafeteria cannot accommodate the size of our current student body. 4 lunch waves must be organized, the first beginning before 10 a.m., which is when food can legally begin being served. Those students are not only scheduled for lunch at 9:50 a.m., but they must also get their food and eat in under 30 minutes. This is difficult with the number of students assigned to each lunch wave. Additionally, a minimum of 5 faculty members must be assigned to monitor each lunch wave, which is challenging given faculty teaching schedules. The cafeteria is also used for study halls in the beginning and end of the day due to insufficient classroom space. At times, nearly 200 students are assigned to a cafeteria study hall. This is hardly an environment conducive to student academic achievement, and again, several teachers must be assigned to monitor these large crowds. The new FHS provides a cafeteria that can serve not only as a space for dining, but also as a space for other activities during the day and on evenings and weekends. The space in the photograph is a high school cafeteria, and it also functions as a ticketing lobby for the auditorium and the gym, as a concession area, and as an assembly space for various meetings and presentations. The old gym is too small to hold any athletic events. Therefore, it can only be used for storage, small practices, and some gym classes. The main gym is not ADA compliant or handicap accessible when the bleachers are pulled out. There is no air conditioning, so it is often very hot during late spring and autumn events. It is also located directly across from the auditorium, so these two popular areas must compete in terms of space, sound, crowd control, and parking. The new FHS provides a gym for phys ed and athletic team events and is large enough for major assemblies of the student body. The high school gym in the photograph features a roof with a sawtooth configuration that allows daylight to enter into the gym, creating a pleasant, uplifting space. This gym is divisible by an overhead gym curtain and contains retractable seating on both sides. The high school currently lacks adequate breakout spaces for collaborative class activities. As a result, students must sit on the hallway floors when doing group work. This is not an ideal learning environment. The new FHS provides ample opportunity for breakout spaces adjacent to teacher work areas and near classroom clusters. Breakout spaces that are comfortable and attractive can offer greater opportunity for spontaneous discussion, group activities, and interdisciplinary teamwork. Highly visible areas such as the one shown in this photograph can be flexible gathering spaces between classrooms, and they can be the focal point of a smaller learning community. The location of the administrative offices in the existing facility is problematic. School administration does not have a direct view of the visitors approaching the building. In fact, the front office is located deep within the footprint of the existing building, quite far from the front door. Faculty offices are inadequate, and they are placed in various remote locations in the existing building. This does not encourage cross-disciplinary collaboration among teachers, and it makes interdepartmental planning very difficult. The new FHS administrative offices will be located in the main entrance of the building. This provides maximum views of people entering the building for security purposes. Faculty offices will be placed in each of the learning communities to encourage interdisciplinary collaboration. The existing building has been renovated and enlarged so many times that its infrastructure is poorly arranged, with multiple heating and cooling systems of various vintages, a bewildering distribution of wiring for electricity, and a confusing maze of piping for plumbing and drainage. This makes maintenance difficult and costly. Many components are outdated and replacement parts are no longer made. Most of the existing building is only 1 story in height, resulting in many roofs of different ages, with many joints between those roofs. The result is an existing facility that has reoccurring failures in its infrastructure. The new FHS is planned to minimize its roof area and its exterior wall area. The design uses energy-efficient walls and windows to reduce heat loss in the winter and heat gain in the summer. Walls will have more insulation and less infiltration, and new maintenance-free windows will improve security and energy efficiency. The new mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems will be arranged to maximize efficiency and simplify maintenance.
Okay, thank you. Could we get to the next slide, please? Okay, so the next slide is on the estimated project cost. The estimated total project cost is approximately $135.6 million. The town council set a net municipal project maximum of $110 million for the project, which the FHS Building Committee is committed to delivering a project below that net municipal maximum. This will be offset by the reimbursement from the state, estimated at approximately $26.3 million. Kat Kajewski, Assistant Town Manager, will now review the tax impacts.
Because of Farmington's ongoing retirement of existing bonded debt, there will only be 5 years, fiscal years 2023 to 2027, that the high school project will increase the property tax. For example, the impact on a homeowner with an average assessed value of $226,777 is estimated to be $466 in total over those 5 years, averaging $93 per year or under $8 per month. In the remaining years of the bond, there is no incremental increases to taxes due to the high school debt issues, as the required debt service is absorbed by the retirement of old debt. Remember that assessment is 70% of market value of your home, so a house assessed at $226,777 has a market value of approximately $324,000. More information regarding the project cost can be found on the project cost page of the FHS Building Committee website, www.fhsbuildingproject.org. On that page, you will find a table to determine the impact of the high school project on your property tax based on the market value of your home. The financial forecast that was prepared by the Town of Farmington Finance Department using historical data and certain financial assumptions is included on this page under resources. We've also included the proposed bond schedules, which are assumptions made for the purpose of this financial forecast, and the timing, duration of each issue will be determined as the project progresses, economic conditions, and cash needs.
So the project timeline, and before I go through the estimated project timeline, I just have to make a note that video was really well represented with all the pictures of the side by side. And when I watch that, it always brings down memories from my time in high school. It's like I'm actually going back in time and traveling down the classrooms in high school. But just really wanted to bring up like how great that video is to give us that visual of where we are now and this proposed plan. So with that said, we're moving forward with this project timeline. So the first line here shows the proposed date for the town council approval of this project on May 11th, 2021. It's coming up. So at this time, the town council will send the project to the referendum. Once the referendum is set, election laws prohibits municipalities from using taxpayer dollars to advocate for the approval of the referendum question. Here on line 2, the next line, shows the tentative referendum date for June 3rd of this year, so June 3rd, 2021. This proposed date for Farmington voters to cast their ballot towards the proposed new high school. Prior to referendum, we'll be preparing the state grant application for submission no later than June 3rd, 2021. The application holds our spot with the Office of School Construction Grants for the state-funded reimbursements. Immediately following the approval of the referendum, the design team will start to work on the final construction documents. The process typically takes a year to complete, which will bring our progress into the summer of 2022. And next, the construction firms will engage through a bidding process, a formal bidding process, and the construction will commence in September following the start of the school year of 2022. There'll be no disruption to teaching and learning during this construction. There will be a fenced off section that will be clearly marked that separates from the current high school from the building site. Now, students can expect to start their 2024 school year in a new building following a 2-year construction period. And the renovation of the 900 wing would begin in the summer of 2024, along with the demolition of the remaining buildings, leaving remaining site work and relocated athletic fields to be completed by the summer of 2025. So we'll begin the question and answer session. Kat Kajewski will facilitate this part of the presentation. As a reminder, questions can be submitted to the building committee at any time using the comment form on our website. Kat will read the questions received and direct the appropriate person to answer the question.
Thank you, Wendy. We did receive a number of questions. We'll ask that you continue to use the Q&A feature to send them in. So the first question we have, is the 900 wing renovation included in the new FHS cost that would be part of the referendum? Yes, the 900 wing cost is included in the total project cost that Johnny went over. I'm going to send it over to Mark Gorilli from Construction Solutions Group, who will be able to answer that in a little bit more detail.
Yes, thank you, Kat. So the numbers are included in the final cost estimates that we have prepared and sending to Town Council. The 900 wing represents about just under 4% of the total costs. It's important to note that with the reimbursement rates and the conversations and agreements that we've had with the state, they are willing to allow us to treat the 900 wing as a renovation project and get the renovation reimbursement rate, which is 10% higher than the new construction rate. So which is roughly 29%, so 28.93 to be exact on the reimbursement rate for the 900 wing versus an 18.93% reimbursement rate for new construction. So anything that we would have put into the main building would have been at a lower reimbursement rate. So it works out well for the net town share costs.
Thank you, Mark. Another question related to the 900 wing. How many square feet does the school central office currently occupy in Town Hall? How many square feet will central office admin have in the remission 900 wing? And what is the cost to renovate the 900 wing? Richard, maybe you'll be able to help us out with this one.
Yes, I'd be happy to. I can answer some of those questions. The only question I cannot answer is how many square feet central office currently occupies in Town Hall. So maybe we can follow up at a future meeting or in the project's website with the information on that question. The total 900 wing square footage is about 20,000 square feet. And about 13,000 square feet of that, it would be dedicated to central office. And that would include the central servers, all of the district-wide computer central systems. So only a smaller portion of that 13,000 square feet would be for central office itself. Remember, you heard earlier this evening that right now you are occupying about two classrooms worth of space in the high school for those central office computers, the district computers. So getting them out of the academic area and into the 900 wing makes sense. The remainder of the 900 wing is for renovations of the lockers to meet Title IX requirements. And that's where most of the money has to be spent. If you look at the cost, construction cost of the 900 wing, it's about $5.9 million. And that splits up evenly between the locker room renovation work and the central office work. So I think that answers those questions. Tell me if I've missed any.
I think you got them. Thank you, Richard.
Sure.
Next question I have here. If we elected not to build the new high school in the near term, would we be in a position to freeze or lower property taxes this decade? CJ, maybe you could provide more information about a subcommittee that was set up on the town council level to talk about tax relief?
Sure, Kat. It's one portion of this answer is just that we've been looking into tax relief for those in need. So we're set up a subcommittee that will be looking to the best way to facilitate tax relief. So that would include seniors, low-income individuals, among others. So those who are most adversely potentially affected by rising taxes, we're trying to address that. As for long-term taxes, that is obviously any freezes or tax going up in a given year. Last year, with no tax increase, was the first year in distant memory that we have done that in town. But that would be up to whoever's sitting on the town council for any given year.
Thank you, CJ. Next question we have here, do we expect to receive federal school infrastructure funding to defray the 110 building costs to Farmington? I can start with this, and then Kathy, maybe you want to jump in and add some additional information. But we are always looking for grant money or additional sources of money to come in to offset any cost for projects. We haven't received any of that money yet, so we're not going to spend money we don't have. And a lot of times there are restrictions or specific ways that you can spend this money. So if applicable, we will look to use this money for this project or other projects in our long-term planning. But as of right now, that is not factored into the total project cost. Kathy, I'm not sure if you have anything else to add.
No, you really covered everything. I would just say that both the town and the Board of Education are always seeking out grants, and when they are made available to us and we're eligible, because we're not always eligible for those grants, but when we are, we take full advantage of that. So as time moves on and those funds become available, we certainly will take advantage of those funds if they become available, whether it's this project or another project.
Thank you. Just one more question that I have so far. What is the projected student enrollment? Kathy, would you be able to address this one?
Thank you for that question. So in 2019, the Farmington Public Schools did retain the services of Peter Prouda, an expert in public school enrollment, to do a 10-year projection that is required when you are engaging in a facility project such as the new FHS project. Projections are critical and require step-by-step planning for our school facilities. So the state of Connecticut requires that we do an 8-year projection, and we did a 10-year projection. So over the next 10 years, we are projected to have a high in enrollment of 1,404 students, and that would be a growth of 131 students at FHS, which would be a 10% increase in enrollment at FHS.
Thank you. Another question that came in, and Kathy, I think this might be you or possibly Richard. Are we adding a new culinary program area in the new building design?
I'll start, and then hopefully others who are familiar with the educational specifications can jump in. I do not believe that a culinary program is identified in the educational specifications, which we are required to follow in planning the school. That's not to say you couldn't add such a program in any of the lab areas or technology areas, should you do so. in the future. Flexibility is the key for this design. And so programs are not permanent. We know that programs will change. Many years ago, there was no such thing as robotics, and that's being considered for this educational specifications. But I don't know if anybody else can jump in on the culinary arts program for this project.
Thank you, Richard. That's all the questions that I've received. So I think, Johnny, I'm sending it back over to you.
Okay, thank you, Kat. So the final slide of the evening is to encourage everyone to stay connected. We want you to visit the officially sanctioned and factual website, www.fhsbuildingproject.org, as your source of information, updates, presentation recordings, and anytime you have questions regarding this project. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That concludes tonight's presentation. I want to thank everyone for your time and your continued support and engagement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.